Welcome back to my long journey to not only finish all of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2's content, but to also earn the Platinum Trophy. We left off last time with the apparent death of Henry and Hans, witnessing a mass hanging orchestrated by the mercenary and future famous real-world Czech general Jan Žižka. Father Godwin arrived in Trotsky on his mission to find the whereabouts of our beloved noble and his page, and bring them back to Ratai, dead or alive. Godwin was about to head into the brutal aftermath of the ambush that decimated Otto von Bergov's military forces and killed his chamberlain. Now onwards to look for signs of Henry and Hans. Godwin may be a veteran of war, but was still shocked at the sights we saw in the forest.
They rained arrows down on them. Good God, what a bloodbath.
And there were still bandits and mercenaries lurking around.
What you want, you old fart? Sure you're not lost?
I did the exact opposite of what a priest would do and stole the dead's shiny armor. But sadly, you can't change what Godwin's wearing. Shame. Traversing onwards, I finally arrived at the mill where Henry had his fight with Žižka, and a mercenary was on guard there, telling Godwin to turn around and leave. But Godwin needs answers.
I told you quite clearly to stay in the forest. You're welcome to anything you find up top, but stay away from here.
God be with you, lad. I'm not one of those corpse looters.
Listen. One more step, and it'll be your last, old man.
Calm down. I don't want any trouble. I'm looking for someone.
Who do you serve?
The Lord God, my son. And wine, every now and again. Or ale. I'm not fussy.
The mercenary doesn't see Godwin as a threat and says he will lead him to his higher up, Eric. Now that's a name I haven't heard in some time. Surely it can't be.
You, speak! Who are you? And who are you looking for?
Godwin. I'm a priest and I'm looking for my friends. Or their bodies.
Istvan Toft's lapdog Eric is back and in glorious next gen. He was disposing of bodies after the battle and seemed reasonable enough to allow Godwin to speak to him. Godwin asked if he could be led to Eric's captain and see their prisoners in hopes that Henry and Hans were there. Out of nowhere, a group of bandits arrived on the scene, interrupting the negotiations. Now Godwin would form a brief alliance with Eric, and in return he would be brought along to Nebakov fortress to see the prisoners.
Did you hear what I fucking said? Get lost, or it'll end badly.
I won't take orders from you, you dog! We're outnumbered, but we can take them. And then I'll take you to our prisoners. Deal?
If we survive.
Let's see if you're as good with that sword as with your tongue. Come on then, you assholes!
I hadn't played the game for ages whilst editing Volume 1, so I got absolutely smashed at the start of this fight trying to remember the controls like an idiot. Godwin may also not have great armor, but he more than makes up for it with his fighting ability, leaving enemies unable to counter him. I didn't check, but he must have high combat levels. Thanks to Eric and the mercenaries carrying me through that fight, I survived and could now head on up to Nebakov with Eric. I actually enjoyed this time on the other side, and Eric even wanted a friendly race with Godwin. How wholesome.
You ride as well as you wield a sword? Let's see. I'll race you there. Yeah! Yeah!
Of course I won the race after all that practice back in Kuttenberg in KCD1. Anyway, Eric and Godwin then approached the fortress and Eric called for the captain so that he could introduce Godwin. And so the man, the myth, the legend, Jan Žižka was summoned.
What is it, Eric? I'm busy.
We then get a quick hint at who's in the fortress, one of our fine gentlemen, and a rat that slipped away from us in the previous game.
I've just had a very interesting chat with this capon. And your Istvan. Now I think I want to have a chat with you. Go and wait for me in the tower.
Žižka is a class act. He listens to Godwin's reasons for being there, but suggests that Godwin doesn't have anything to bargain with, but he will let him leave alive. Godwin had already gotten this far. There was no way he would give up on his mission. With negotiations failing fast, a spanner was then thrown in the works, and all of a sudden a rebellion started up within Nebakov fortress. I wonder who was responsible.
Rebellion! They're attacking!
I came here to get them, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Looks like you know how to use a blade.
Fighting Turks will teach you that.
Hungary?
Kosovo. If you help me, I'll let them go.
I ran inside the fortress to help Zizka take down the rebels. We were much better armed than them, and with someone as skilled as Zizka, they were no problem to defeat. But it had all been a distraction. Zizka found out that Istvan Toth and Eric had been spying on him for Otto von Berghoff. Then we head back to a point a few minutes before Godwin and Zizka just met. Some top acting in this scene.
I hope Hanush has enough coin to pay the ransom for you. As for you, well, we'll see about you.
You! Tough! You swine! You're lucky I can't get to you, you treacherous back at me, you dog! Who the hell do you think you are? Where's my sword? Who is this? Madman! Surely you're not gonna listen to some vagabond? What, but you think you should listen to Sigismund's bitch? Enough!
What's he talking about?
Well, you clearly don't know your own men. Although this one is Sigismund's man. We've already had the honor.
They're making up shit to avoid the gallows!
So that's why you were so keen to avoid that battle.
We were defending the castle as you ordered!
Throw him in the cell with Nebak.
I'm sure you'll get on just fine together.
You're making a terrible mistake!
We'll see about that.
Zizka, you want it at the gate?
Shit, I'm not done with you yet.
This is the first time Henry had seen Toth since we chased him out of Kuttenberg and rescued Henry's father, Radzig Kobyla. You can only imagine the anger he'd be feeling. Toth then admits working for Otto to spy on Zizka and stop him from raiding in the area, and he wins over Nebak's trust, whom is also allied to Otto von Berghoff. Eric then bursts through the door once the fighting begins, and this reminds Henry of an unpleasant time when he was captured and beaten by the pair of them. I swear Eric didn't do the beating back in KCD1, but oh well, this is canon now. We then witness what happens during the extinguishing of the rebellion inside Nebakov.
Eric! You're just about to do some gutting.
There's no time for it.
There's always time for this.
No, we've got to flee now.
There'll be time when we meet again. What the fuck was that? Fuck it!
Praise be to our Lord Jesus Christ. Gentlemen!
It's Godwin!
You know, I thought I'd be carrying your bodies home. Can't you even deliver a letter?
I will get those fuckers.
Even amongst all of the chaos, that was one hell of a heartwarming reunion. Finally, Godwin had made it to Henry in hands. We can all breathe a sigh of relief. We can now catch up and go over everything that had happened together. And we learned that Zizka was actually one of the good guys that supports King Wenceslas, and not King Sigismund.
We got off on the wrong foot, all right. But it seems we have a lot to say to each other.
Going back to edit these videos is also a nice recap for myself, because the politics in this game can get confusing first time around, and I can then explain what's going on in simpler terms. So basically, Otto von Bergov is the enemy. He supports King Sigismund, the king from Hungary, that we all basically hate. Otto was deceiving Henry and Hans this whole time. And the player, because I thought he was awesome. Istvan and Eric work for him, and Zizka is on our side. We also find out here that the groom at the wedding, the young Samin, was working with Zizka, and that's why he was acting so suspicious. Istvan and Eric are now returning to Trotsky Castle to inform Otto of what has happened, so we needed to make a move too with our allies, old and new. But first, Godwin was going to look at the damage Henry caused to Zizka's eye, to see if he could help stop any infections.
Oh, God. Holy shit!
Don't worry. I'm sure it doesn't look half as bad as it feels.
It started to fester. I'll have to clean that out. Just get it over with.
We were then going to rest up in Nebakov before heading back home to Ratai in the morning. Some ground rules were laid out, seeing as we were all killing each other earlier in the day, and Hans gets a stern warning that the ladies' man must stay away from Clara.
Go to bed and no more fighting. And keep your hands off our Clara. Got it?
I found it funny how Hans got berated when Henry had already been there and done that. I helped Godwin bury today's dead, and then he brought me over to a gent that could teach us a little something about history's latest weapon, gunpowder.
It's called a pistol. You'll see something you've never seen before. With this contraption, as you call it, you can shoot down a knight in armor, horse and all.
I've already seen what it can do. A weapon like that killed the Chamberlain this morning.
Let's not worry about that now, all right? You have a unique chance to try it out. From the right end for a change.
I was finally introduced to the handgun. Pistol, whatever you will. Stick goes boom. I could try it out and earn one for myself. This guy was an expert at teaching, right?
Good. Let's try shooting.
Careful now. I don't want to have to go looking for all your pieces.
Well, you look like you're all in one piece, so you'll surely be the best teacher.
That's true. So far, I've only had to have 2 fingers stitched back on.
What?
Now I could finally try out this destructive force for myself, in a friendly competition with Godwin. I just love how it's a running joke about realistically how inaccurate these weapons would have been in the past. And it's true, they were awful at long range compared to a trusty bow or crossbow, especially when everyone is first getting used to them.
Holy balls! What a racket! And that stench! Ah!
It's got quite a kick, huh?
What a load of bollocks!
Hitting something with that would take a miracle.
It's a miracle we still have both our arms.
Aye. I once saw it rip a bloke's face off, along with half his body.
Such an accurate shot. From how many paces?
None. He was the one doing the shooting.
Sweet mother of Jesus.
I was gifted the pistol for myself, which was rather kind, as they can be quite expensive. They were useful to have and necessary for a few trophies. Next up I had the choice of helping the people around the fortress. I wanted to help so that we could slowly rebuild bonds after the massacre that had just happened. But not everyone felt the same way at first.
Hey you! Why are you gawking at me like a deaf c***? I should have shot you right off. And don't pretend you can't hear me.
There's no reason to argue. We're both on the same side.
On the same side? Are you yanking my pistol? Your lot killed many of our good men this morning. I feel like punching your teeth in.
This lovely gentleman eventually changed his tune when I helped him move sacks onto his wagon for him. Then I helped a man at the stables by forging him a few horseshoes. I then caught up with Hans over a game of dice, and he was a bit of a sore loser, as you'd expect.
My God! Oh, come on!
I overheard a commotion a little ways away from our game and went to investigate, and saw Clara arguing with the guards.
Enough! What's going on here?
And what's it to you, eh?
I've been told not to treat those wounded prisoners in the cellar.
Keep your nose out of this, mate.
The prisoners she wanted to treat were from von Bergov's army, including his bodyguard, Black Bartosz. I explained the situation to the prisoners and agreed to have their wounds treated. We would stay pals, but admitted that we may have to face each other in battle one day, being on opposite sides of the war and all. But it was good to see Bartosz alive. I feel like his character hasn't been explored enough yet. I then headed to the other side of the fortress to help Clara treat more of the wounded, assessing their ailments and treating them accordingly. On my way to try and fix up the last soldier, I swiped a bunch of groschen and decent armor from under everyone's noses, and then gave this guy enough alcohol to put down a horse. That'll help with the pain, mate. I returned to Clara and told her that I did my best with her patience. The day was then over and Henry went to bed, and was joined by Clara later on. His talents as a healer clearly impressed her, but for some reason Henry could only dream of Markvart von Aulitz, the man leading the army that decimated Skalitz and his parents. Later on, Henry woke up in a cold sweat to the sounds of a huge commotion in the fortress. Long, epic cutscene incoming, guys.
Quickly barricade the gate! Hurry! Load up everything you get your hands on. Stones to the wall! All weapons to the gate!
Clara, what in the hell?
What the hell is going on?
A bit of a rude awakening.
Who are they? And where the fuck did they come from?
From the tower crest on their banners, looks like the Prague militia.
Aulitz.
Good morning, Captain! Please forgive my abrupt departure without saying goodbye yesterday. What do you want? Lord Nebakov here would like his castle back. My liege, Sir Otto, wants your head. And I have an account to settle with a certain bastard of Radzig's.
Lord Bergov! Since when did the Chamberlain of our land ally himself with such filth?
Ever since Jobst and Wenceslas started allying with filth like you, Zizka. Sir Istvan Tod is a master of your craft. He harassed Wenceslas' allies, just as you did King Sigismund's. He did a good job in Zassau, and he would have done so here too, were it not for Hanush's pair of buffoons.
That smug little fucker was in his service the whole time.
But I have to admit, Captain Zizka, that you've been a much bigger thorn in our backsides than we care for. Fortunately, my friend Marquardt just happened to be passing, so now your tricks won't help you anymore.
The executioner awaits you, Captain. But if you're sensible, we'll spare your companions Surrender!
Is there anywhere to sneak out of here?
Even if there were, they wouldn't get far.
No. And I'm never gonna run from that fucker again.
Lord von Berghoff! Sir Markvart! Lord Nebak! And you treacherous shit! Kiss our asses!
God, is this retribution for my sins?
Sorry, my friend. I'm afraid your castle will be needing some repairs.
Out of nowhere, almost all of our enemies decide to attack us at once. We had to prepare for the fight of our lives, defending the walls and the gates simultaneously. Because I chose to help Mikesh and Kozliek earlier with those simple tasks, I could position them however I wanted during the battle. We didn't have long until they let loose arrows and marched to the walls with ladders. I could test my new firepower on them as they climbed the ladders, which was rather satisfying to say the least. After defending the walls for a while, I ran to the gate to help out Hans, and could drop giant stones to crack the skulls of the enemies below us. Doing this triggered a trophy with a fantastic reference behind it, Rock and Stone. This references one of my favourite games from years ago, Deep Rock Galactic. Carl would be proud. I had been defending the other side of the fortress with Zizka, and both him and Henry were knackered now. We had to get back to the courtyard to fight alongside Godwin and repel the last of the enemy forces. We defeated the soldiers inside the fortress eventually, but a new threat was about to reveal itself. This was an absolute shocker when playing for the first time.
We've got to fall back!
Everyone back to the tower!
Now!
Hurry! There's more coming!
We're done for.
Bollocks. They won't get into the tower easily. They'll parley, you'll see.
Fall back! Everyone, away from the tower!
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
What the fuck is that?
Get ready!
Kata, Noster, Kies and Kielis.
Time!
Et debiti, nobis debita nostra sicut.
Take cover!
Et nos dimitimus debitoribus nostris. Everyone away from the wall. Et ne nos inducas in tentationem. But deliver us from evil.
Help me! Someone! I'm fucking stuck! Henry! For the love of God!
Well, I didn't expect a bombard to be used on us at all. What an incredible scene though. We thoroughly lost this battle and everyone was captured by von Bergov, the regret of not fleeing the fortress hanging over them. Otto takes Hans Capon hostage and will keep him captive at an undisclosed location, and he allows Istvan to stay at Trotsky Castle and hold Henry, Godwin and Zizka prisoner there, and they were all tortured for information on Jobst and Liechtenstein. I held out for as long as I possibly could, but I was worried that they would possibly kill Zizka, so I caved in and let slip that Liechtenstein was in the city of Kuttenberg. Toth left once we had spilled the beans and would return the following morning for another torture session. Zizka consoled Henry, telling him that everyone succumbs to torture eventually. It was looking like doom and gloom for our misfit band of heroes. They'd need a miracle to come along.
Hey. Can you hear that?
Hallelujah! I'm as thirsty as a fish!
About time, Catherine. What took you so long?
You can hang around here a bit longer if you like.
Thank goodness, Catherine's undercover work at Trotsky Castle had paid off massively, and she rescued us in style. I always had an inkling that she knew who Zizka was. She's one of Zizka's greatest allies, and historically, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she's meant to represent Jan Zizka's wife. I looted the guard's corpse and Catherine gave me her bloodied knife. Then it was up to Henry to take care of Istvan Toth once and for all. On my way to him, sneaking through the castle, I surprisingly earned myself a trophy I had been attempting for ages. The guards weren't even looking for me like the trophy description suggests, but taking down this fella earned me the lights out trophy. As I snuck over to the other side of Trotsky Castle, a cutscene triggered with Eric leaving the castle to go and search for Liechtenstein, leaving Toth unprotected, and taking an obstacle out of my path. Then I could sneak up to the top of the tower where Henry could finally, after all this time, confront the villain behind so much of his grief.
You just won't give up, will you? You know, I actually like that about you. It reminds me of someone.
I'm not like you.
Indeed. Last time you let me go. That's not my style. And it came back to haunt you. So, what's it gonna be? A fair fight? Or are you finally going to learn?
I'm all about honor, but I wanted to take his advice and avoid any chance of him slipping away again. This was war. Justice must be carried out and he deserved death no matter what.
In the end, see, I was right. The stronger dog fucks the bitches.
With Istvan Toth finally out of the picture, or window in this case, I earned the story trophy Vengeance. Then I had to collect our gear, regroup and escape from Trotsky Castle with the others. But first I was going to loot everything I could for XP and of course, Groschen. Whilst gaining loads of levels, I unlocked a new perk that would boost my ability to pick locks temporarily. This helped me unlock a very hard lock that would have been impossible otherwise because my level wasn't high enough. Accessing this loot earned me the Nimble Fingers trophy for picking my first very hard lock.
Finally get the fuck out of here.
I joined up with Godwin and he was rummaging through von Bergov's belongings and found a letter from King Sigismund himself, detailing his plans. Before we had a read, it was time to meet Catherine and Zizka beneath the castle, and as Godwin said, get the f*** out of here, sneaking through the underground tunnels towards Apollonia. Once we were almost out of the tunnels, we decided to read Sigismund's letter, and it wasn't good news. Sigismund requested all of his allies' armed forces to meet up in the city of Kuttenberg to stamp out any resistance, meaning us and all of our allies. I now had to sneak through the forest towards Catherine's contacts who were waiting for us, but they had to be informed that we wouldn't make it in time because of Zizka's injuries. If Henry didn't let them know, then they would assume the worst and leave without us at sunrise. I stabbed my way through the search party in the forest, and unfortunately had a slight hiccup. I couldn't assassinate this guard because he was spazzing out on a rock. Brilliant.
Over here!
Okay, next attempt. I made it to our allies in time to give them our information. Then we loaded a passed out Zizka onto the back of the cart and made our way to the humongous Kuttenberg region. Then the group parted ways with Godwin for now, as he headed back to Radzig and Hanush as a messenger. Now the game really opened up, and it was if it just grew 5 times bigger. This second map was massive. For reaching this incredible new area, I was also awarded a story trophy, New Horizons. Zizka had awoken and was slowly on the mend from his torture injuries. He was telling Henry about a man we were going to see, a friend of his known as the Dry Devil. Real name, Hinek. We actually saw him covered in armor during the game's prologue. Catherine wasn't fond of this fellow at all, but he's apparently a formidable warrior and a supporter of King Wenceslas. Dry Devil was supposedly a guest at Tugbone Fortress, and that is where we are destined to go next, to meet the Lord there, and a surprise guest.
Greetings. What's your business here?
The blessing of our Lord Jesus Christ, sir. I expect you're Peter Pisek. I am Jan Zizka of Trosnov. I have an important message for your guest, Hinek of Kronstadt. Actually, for you two.
A message for the Dry Devil?
Well now, Captain Zizka and young Henry.
Margrave Jobs.
Sir.
I'm afraid your friend Hinek is no longer here. I'd love to know what brought you two together. But also, what the hell happened to you?
Well, sir...
Unfortunately, I'm otherwise occupied at the moment. Get some rest. You're clearly in dire need of it. We'll talk tomorrow. Sir Peter, please, take care of our guests.
Yes, sir.
Margrave Jobs was here in Tugbone Castle, relaxing, whining and dining whilst we had been going through all sorts delivering that message for him. Anyway, Peter of Pisek took us in, fed us and gave us rooms to use. We explained to him everything that had happened and King Sigismund's plans to take out all supporters of King Wenceslas. I then made my way down to the courtyard to mingle with our new friends. I took on a challenge from the captain here and Catherine to duel one of the guards. I came out on top, of course, first try I swear. And Catherine awarded me with a really fancy crossbow, just like the one I used in the prologue. I spoke to Catherine later on about potential survivors from our recent battle at Nebakov, and it turns out that Zizka's loyal captain Michael was killed instantly from the cannon impact, and Clara is also presumed dead. After some time had passed, I could then report everything that had happened so far to Margrave Jobst, and I also mentioned that we had given up Liechtenstein's approximate location to the enemy. It was now time to head back out again into the world and explore the Kuttenberg region. Catherine was going to head to the city to find out what's happened to Liechtenstein, find work and listen in on the gossip. And Henry and Zizka were off to find the Dry Devil and his band of men, the Devil's Pack. We started our search at a dingy and dodgy tavern called the Devil's Den. Very fitting. We came across currently one of my favourite characters, Kubienka. an ally of Zhishka and the devil, and a raging alcoholic.
I warned you had it coming, you drunk!
Hang on. I didn't see it. Does feel better when I've had a drink. It's a gift from God.
Either you pay us back our coin, or you can leave your head with us.
You wouldn't get a groschen for an alternative, mine.
You're right about that.
I'd have a use for that turnip. But I can only pay for it with iron.
Zhishka?
You turn on your heel and get going, if you value your life. You might have noticed, there's more of us than you.
That can be fixed.
We then had a bloody brawl to save Kubienka's drunken hide, and almost died in the process, with a sliver of health left over. That would have been an embarrassing rescue. Once we had defeated these ruffians, Henry could then properly be introduced to Kubienka.
Anyway, this is Henry. Henry, this is Kubienka.
Hiya, lad. And thanks for the help. You're handy with a sword.
Thanks.
Not that I couldn't handle them myself.
He would be one of the best archers north of the Alps, if he wasn't drunk or with one arm in the stocks all the time.
Kubienka was about to let us know what had happened to the Dry Devil, but the innkeeper came along to interrupt us. The innkeeper here is a great help though, because he cleans up our mess and lets us go about our business without question.
This is the innkeeper, Dreadlight.
Gentlemen, I won't have this. You're murdering my guests and making a mess.
They started it.
They've been drinking on credit for half a day. Who's going to pay for this now?
If you search their pockets and sell their weapons, that should cover it. And I have a feeling Kubienka here owed them some dice winnings.
I didn't cheat.
Pay him.
All right then. What did I do to deserve you? Here you go.
Ah, I see you are a nobleman and a generous one at that. You didn't have to, but thank you. I'm much obliged. You don't need to worry about anything. We'll clear away the corpses, pour some sand on the blood, and no one will know what happened here.
That's nice of you. But leave us alone now.
Nobody will be looking for them anyway. Only the catchpoles would be interested in them. You might even get a reward.
Did you hear Lord Zhishka?
Yes, I did. Of course. I'm leaving. Just call if you need anything.
Henry then went off with Kubienka to look for a stash of firearms that the Devil's Pack had left in one of their old makeshift camps. So we took a ride down to a nearby forest and bonded a little. Once we found the camp, Kubienka told Henry that the hand cannons were buried in one of many sites. There were a few places to search, but first I would need a shovel, of course.
Anyway, we need a shovel. There used to be one by Janner's tent.
Which one is that?
The one made of leaves. He was so proud of it until he woke up covered in caterpillars.
Henry was really getting a workout. Kubienka could barely remember which place to dig. At first I dug up one of their comrades' bones and found a few groschen here and there, not to forget the booze in the river. But eventually he led me to the guns.
See? I told you I knew exactly where to find them. God, why are you punishing me? Oh, don't cry. We have more important things to do.
The reason we needed these guns? Rescued the Dry Devil. Kubienka had told us he was being held captive, and the soldiers that had him under their watch were currently moving him. Zhishka had devised a plan. We were going to ambush them on the road and set the devil free. So off we went to meet Zhishka and the mercenaries he had hired to save Dry Devil.
Are we there yet? No, how many fucking times have I told you? Are you deaf?
Pay no attention to him, Rupert.
Pay no attention to him, Rupert.
You hold me up in irons. You can't even show me a grain of human decency.
Paul!
What the fuck?
Damn. There's more of them than I was expecting. We can't back out now. Let's blast at them and seize the advantage.
Oi! You two! Get that wreck off the road.
Not to worry, Honourable Sir. We're working on it. To the task!
Matilda!
Fucking hell! My leg, damn it! You idiots!
Now that was just a warning shot. Surrender, or the next one will go straight through your guts.
Well, that could have gone better. Henry then tried to lie through his teeth to rectify this terrible situation.
Listen to me carefully. In the woods around us, we have dozens of archers and crossbowmen. If you don't surrender, we'll shoot you to pieces. We'll kill the rest the old-fashioned way.
Oh, shit! There's barely a dozen of you. If you could kill us all, you'd have done it already.
That's not true at all. There's more of us. Many more.
How many?
A gross. And we have armor, hammers, and cannons.
And you're hiding in the forest with all that gear, right? Have at them! Kill those bastards!
I didn't have high enough levels to make that one work, and they came down on us so quickly that I wasn't prepared for it and got totally destroyed. I was okay the second time once I expected the skirmish, and we killed all of the soldiers and rescued the infamous Dry Devil at last. We then all went back to the Devil's Den to celebrate and become acquainted with the devil.
Welcome back, Hinnick.
If it wasn't for you, I'd still be getting worked over by those bastards in Sigismund's camp. You saved my arse, fellas. Although, I have a second hole in it now because of you. Ouch!
Back at the Devil's Den, we all agreed that this would be our base of operations, and Dry Devil loved the name of the place, naturally. We then discussed recruiting the disbanded Devil's Pack again to help our cause. This left us with a few objectives: meeting Catherine in Kuttenberg and searching for Liechtenstein, saving Hans Capon from being used as a bargaining chip, and of course going after the Devil's Pack members. And I decided to recruit the Devil's Pack first.
Liechtenstein can wait. I better look for the rest of your Devil's Pack.
Great. But be careful. I didn't recruit them for their pretty eyes. They're probably not going to be very friendly after what happened, so be nice to them.
I'll bear that in mind.
All right, go ahead. But don't forget, Catherine's waiting for you in Kuttenberg.
I then had a sit down with Kubienka to find out more information on this colourful bunch of mercenaries. There was Janosch, Matthew, Ada, Bahuta, and Raniak.
They may sound like a bunch of morons as I tell it, but they will be damn useful to us. Good luck!
So off I went into the wide world. Now I could enjoy myself at my own pace. And right away after leaving the den, I bumped into a most interesting man lying down on the road. He was called Karel Arrowhead, because, well, he had an arrow in his head.
You have an arrow stuck in your head? Shouldn't you be, well, dead?
Thing is, it's a magic arrow.
Yeah, right.
Curiosity then got the better of Henry.
Do you think it could be taken out? Can I touch it?
If you touch it, I'll rip off both your arms, shove them up your arse, and make you clap.
Easy! Easy now! I was just asking. No need to get upset.
Karel was a bandit, but not by choice. He just had to fend for himself, and he had his own band of merry men. I helped him carry a sack to his camp in a nearby forest. His men weren't as welcoming as he was.
You have a nice camp. What's life like here?
And who the fuck are you to care so much?
I managed to calm this fella down and asked him about the magic arrow in Karel's head, which apparently brings them all good luck. I also asked about their living situation, and the latter response cracked me up.
What's life like here in the forest?
What kind of fucking question is that? What do you think life's like in a fucking forest? Life's shite for all the people you see here.
Is it really that bad?
Well, we're not exactly starving, but it's definitely no fucking feast. Karel is like some fucking priest. He's always saying, we don't need much, that we mustn't be greedy. So we're not greedy, and we don't have much. That's the final score.
I continued on my quest to find the Devil's Pack, and Bahuta was the only one that Kubienko could give me a location for. He had gone from a criminal to a priest after the death of his brother, and swore not to cahoot with the Dry Devil again. I wasn't sure I could convince him to help, but I agreed to go with him to say a prayer for his brother. You can't just learn Latin overnight, but Bahuta spoke the prayer anyway.
Pater Noster, qui isn't careless, sanctify cater, or no man's tomb. Adventure ad rectum to whom, fate voluminous to her, seek it, inhale it, enter her. Your turn now.
Right. Who taught you that?
I did. I can't read, but I learned it by listening to the priest.
I was just trying to be helpful, but ended up offending him when I said he was saying it all wrong.
You're saying it wrong. Listen. It goes like this. Pater Noster qui as in caelis.
Shut up! You're saying it worse than I am. I'm in no mood for your smart arsery. Come here. I'll show you.
Bahuta didn't take it well at all and proceeded to beat Henry up. I tried to run, but he wouldn't quit, so I had to knock him out. I don't think Bahuta would join us anyway. This was just the nail in the coffin. Later on, I made it to a lovely little village called Miskovitz, with a pond and a willow tree in the middle, and this is where I encountered another of our men, Janos Uher. He was in the pillory for beating the hell out of someone.
Hey, what do you gaped? Fish face?
Dry Devil sent me. He's looking for you.
Tell him Janos busy.
Oh. Alright then.
Dority, I just pulling pistol. Get me out of here, brother. My neck on line, hey?
I could pay the bailiff a lot of groschen to get Janos out of this pickle, but I was going to leave him hanging there for a while to go off and do some side quests. Sorry, buddy. I did find out information about another of the Devil's Pack from him though. Ada, a Polish gent that gets on well with Janos and loves booze and women. I started my next side quest from the blacksmith's wife, Martha, and I stole so much loot from the blacksmith's storage. That's one way to make quick cash or get some half-decent gear. I then smithed some horseshoes for Martha and gained a new perk. Whenever I made myself weapons, they would now be the highest possible tier. Martin would be proud. I returned the horseshoes and Martha was more than impressed with Henry.
These will do just fine. Such a young, hard-working, talented fella you are. Too bad I'm not a few years younger.
Martha then asked Henry to bring the horseshoes to a woman called Victoria, and when I checked Victoria's place, there was blood and a knife on the floor. This does not bode well. I heard that Victoria had relations with someone at Sigismund's camp. I assumed that they would murder me on sight here, but it turns out you can wander around Sigismund's camp and mingle as much as you'd like as a neutral. It's a very important location. They weren't very nice to Henry at first though.
Where do you think you're going?
Into the camp, of course.
Oh, aye. They can't wait to see you. Look here. No strangers are allowed in, so turn around and sod off back to the pile of dung you crawled out of.
Once I said I was sent by the blacksmith with horseshoes, they let me in no problem. I asked around to find out information on Victoria, because she used to deliver horseshoes here fairly often. And I found out the man she fancied was called Black, and he was currently sick in the infirmary. I went and spoke to him and found out that Victoria likes him a lot, but to him it was just a fling. I did find out the details of their meeting spot though. Black seemed reluctant to help even though they were supposedly together. Henry wasn't going to let him just get away with neglecting her, especially when she could be in trouble. So I knocked him out and decided to carry him to where Victoria was hopefully waiting. This wasn't as simple as it sounded though. I had to get past all of the soldiers in the camp. Carrying a body out of here would look pretty suspicious. The best idea I had was waiting until nightfall and taking out as many guards as I could in my path, so I could freely carry Black's unconscious body to the forest. Sounds grim. It took a long time to lug this oaf over to the meeting place, and thankfully Victoria was there. I dumped him down on the ground and listened to her story. It was a sad tale. Victoria had become pregnant, and the lack of support from Black led her to attempt an abortion, but she couldn't go through with it and was considering suicide, hence the knife and the blood. But thankfully she is alive and well in my story. Once I had finished talking with Victoria, I noticed Black had mysteriously disappeared. This was bad news because I actually needed him here for a trophy, so I had to carry him out of the camp all over again. And this time things worked out. For me at least, maybe not for everyone else.
You wanted your soldier? Well, here he is.
What? Where the hell are we?
Now you can have it out with each other.
I knew you'd come back to me.
Hey, me? Come back? Did you...
Don't look at me. It's you two who should be talking.
Talking? About what?
About how things will be. You said you wanted to be with me, that you'd take care of me.
Would everyone leave me alone?
Turns out he's just a piece of crap. But now Victoria won't be strung along any longer and can get her life back. For bringing Black here, I earned the trophy, Henry the Matchmaker. After all of that, I went back to my main objective for a while, finding the Devil's Pack. And next on my list was Matthew, known in the local area as Matthew the Collector. I actually stumbled upon him accidentally as a fast travel event. He was waiting by the road and his men appeared from the bushes in a menacing fashion, ready to stab me and rob me as if I had just entered modern day London. I told Matthew that the Dry Devil wanted to get the pack back together, but he said he had no intention of going back and was happy robbing people on the road. I managed to avoid him stealing from me with a skill check, and we both carried on with our days. Matthew even offered to teach me a few things, so I could pay him to gain XP in certain skills. I then decided to explore a bit and mess around. I was literally showing Lewis on the channel a bit of the game and how you can basically do anything you want. I proved this by being a menace and shooting innocent women. The nearby guard wasn't very happy with this, and I randomly earned a trophy for surviving multiple skirmishes while bleeding. But enough messing about, time to revert my save and soldier on. It turns out the woman I had blown up in an alternative timeline was Bara from the start of my adventure. She was now making a living for herself, being in charge of her own bathhouse. Henry was really happy for her, and of course he had to stop by for the services. My man really rakes in the compliments from the ladies.
You don't see stamina like that every day. See you next time, warrior.
I continued searching for the Devil's Pack yet again, and found out some new information regarding Ranyak and Ada. Ranyak was a big gambler and in a lot of debt, and as Janosch already said, Ada was likely off with a woman. I heard that I should ask the butcher's wife about Ada's whereabouts.
Why should I ask the butcher's wife?
Well, why do you think?
Do I have to make you say it? How does this concern Ada?
It's just some village clutch.
Look, I've heard a lot about Ada. If he was sticking it where he shouldn't have, I'd rather know before some cuckold comes at me with a pitchfork.
Knowing our butcher, you're not far from the truth, glaub mir.
I then spoke to the butcher's wife, Eve, about Ada, and she claimed that nothing happened. But I'm not so sure. Regardless though, I found out that her husband didn't believe her, and he had started a manhunt and went after Ada. So off I went to rescue this hilarious Polish menace. The fact that I can speak and understand a bit of Polish made this whole scene and Ada as a character so much better.
Panie, mój Boże, wysłuchaj mnie. Całe życie mordowałem i ruchałem. Więcej razy paliłem kościoły niż byłem u spowiedzi. Wybacz swemu słudze. Wybacz i pozwól mi jeszcze tylko raz wykastrować tych bezbożnych skurwysynów!
Shut up! No one can listen to your damn gibberish!
Twoja baba i tak do końca życia będzie pamiętać o mojej polskiej kiełbasie!
I'll shut that gob of yours!
Ciebie i twoją matkę piekło pochłonie. Niech was piekło pochłonie!
Wait! Stop!
A co to za kutas?
What do you want?
And who the hell are you?
Leave him alone and untie him.
Why would I do that? Do you know what that bastard did?
If you're talking about the rumours in the village, it's all lies. Nothing happened.
You don't know what you're talking about. That whoreson defiled my wife, my Eva, eh? He should be glad we're only gonna hang him. If I had my way, we'd castrate him as well.
That scoundrel belongs to the Lord of Tugbone Fort.
What does he want with him?
He defiled the Lord's cook, 2 maids, the captain's wife, and stole a statue of the Madonna from the chapel, over which he then did all kinds of lewd acts. They're building a gallows for him at Tugbone.
But what about me? I want satisfaction too, or at least compensation.
You want to argue with Peter of Pisek's armed men? They're already on their way.
As you wish, she's all yours. But the cow is mine, and she's coming with me.
Oh, fuck.
What a mess Ada had got himself into. He was instantly my new favourite character. I cut him down as fast as possible.
Kurva!
We then spoke for a while. Henry treating him as some kind of idiot because of the language barrier was entertaining. Ada must have thought Henry was the idiot.
I was sent by Dry Devil. He's waiting for you at the Devil's Den.
O, żeż kurwa! Czart żyje? To jeszcze go nie powiesili?
I then had the fantastic idea of giving Ada a sword so that he could exact revenge on the butcher and his cronies. What are friends for, eh? Ada and I were instantly pals. Once we had obliterated everyone, including Eve's husband, Ada asked me to go and save Janos next. I think it was about time I set him free from the pillory anyway. But he was going to have to wait a little longer while I searched for Raniak. I bumped into some drunk gamblers that were playing dice with Raniak not long ago. Once they thought I knew him, they asked me to follow them to where he was. So they stumbled off, pissed out of their minds, and I followed them behind the tavern.
So where is he? What? Where is he? I don't get it. What happened to him?
We met this Raniak in Pshitoki. We even lent him money when he had nothing to play with. He swore he'd pay us back. Then we met here and played some more. Raniak kept losing, but he didn't know when to stop.
What did he do to him?
Nothing at all. That bastard brought it on himself. When it was clear he had no way to pay us back, we started watching him to make sure he couldn't run away. He started whining about having to go take a dump. But we didn't want to watch him shit himself, so we let him go and said we'd wait outside the shithouse. But the bastard got the idea to flee the other way.
You mean through...
Aye, by crawling through shit. But I reckon it was deeper than he thought. And he never came out.
So basically, Raniak drowned in poo whilst trying to avoid his debts. I convinced these guys that I didn't really know him because they tried to make me pay the debt. Cheeky buggers. I then had to wade through a sea of feces to find Raniak's corpse. Poor Henry.
Oh, God. What have I done to deserve this? It won't ever wash away. Oh, God. It's hairy. It's still warm.
After a while of poo diving, I found Raniak's body and did what anyone else would, looted his corpse. He had a really good bow. I then washed myself as best I could so that I didn't make anyone throw up, and then I decided to get sidetracked by a knight standing nearby on my way out of this tavern area. Sorry Janos, you'll have to wait even longer. I then spoke to this fancy looking knight whom was asking passerbys for their aid.
I am Sir Jan Posey of Kuttenberg.
Pleased to meet you, sir.
Posey needed help rescuing his brother from a band of Cumans that had taken over their old castle, and no one else was daring enough to help out, except for Henry of course. So off we went, exchanging stories on the way. A pleasant trip towards the area where Posey, his brother Miroslav, and their soldiers were all attacked on the road by Cumans. We reached our destination and Posey's men's corpses were being looted by the poor. He was absolutely fuming, to say the least. I decided to calm him down and let them leave. They were simply desperate. They weren't bandits or the like.
Well, you rabble. You're fortunate that Henry here speaks wisely. You're on your way. And remember what happened here, and that you owe your lives to Henry of Skalitz.
Thank you, sirs. We'll never do nothing like this again, I swear.
Go. Flee while you can.
Posey asked me to search for the body of a priest and look for a box that he was carrying. I found the priest slumped over by the river, but no box, and he also said I should grab a halberd that was leaning against the wagon. He wouldn't give me all the information in regards to this box, which felt really suspicious. Once I'd ironically looted everyone's corpses, we made our way uphill to the castle to rescue Miroslav. Posey wanted to charge in and reduce the gap to their archers, but I suggested at least waiting until nightfall. So we waited, and then Posey charged in like a madman against way too many humans. And I felt like I had to use the polearm I grabbed because Posey told me to, but it was kinda crap, and I had no skill with it or perks. Jan Posey had pretty much just led Henry to his death. I tried again and this time told Posey to stay put. I snuck around the outside of the castle ruins and took out the guard outside of where they were keeping Miroslav. I carefully made my way down the steps and untied him.
I'm here to rescue you.
What? Who are you?
My name's Henry. I'm here with Posey.
Ha! I knew the bastard would come for me. How does it look outside?
I got one of them, but we still have to deal with the rest.
So let me out, and I'll help you.
Then we went on the offensive. I said screw it to the polearm and really noticed how it was holding me back. I got out my main weapon, my trusty warhammer, and decimated the Cumans with ease. The rescue mission was a huge success. No thanks to Posey's initial plan and suggestions.
You fellas took your sweet time.
You ungrateful son of a bitch. What's the matter? Been tugging your bone too much?
I'm still strong enough to get you on my back.
All right.
Let go.
Good old Kuttenberg. Home sweet home, eh?
This was just the start of our side journey with Posey, but I couldn't continue their quests just yet. And before Henry soldiered onwards, his curiosity was piqued and he had to ask about Miroslav's nickname, Tugbone.
Actually, I'd be interested to know why they call you Tugbone.
Here we go.
Oh, come on. It's a long story. We don't have time for it.
Oh, well, I'm not going to force you. I'll just tell it myself.
Jesus Christ, you can't be serious.
Oh, come on. It's a good laugh. When we were little, this prioress from the abbey used to come to the castle to teach us to read and write. She used to come early in the morning, and one time, she walked into Miro's chamber and caught him... I can't finish.
Oh, for Christ's sake. She walked in just when I was playing with my hobby horse. That's all.
You were what?
Tugging his bone. Tugbone.
Yeah, hilarious.
She never came back to the castle again after that.
Maybe that's why you can hardly read.
Yeah, could be.
Well, I wasn't sure what to expect. Not that.
I'd appreciate if you didn't mention it to anyone.
Naturally. Otherwise, we'd have to kill you.
What? I'd never...
I'm just yanking your pizzle. Tell anyone you like. It's a great story.
Jesus.
Posey and Tugbone then went for a nap, and I looted the nearby chest, completely oblivious to the fact that I was actually looting Posey's armor that he put away while he slept. I hope he's not mad when I see him next. I then finally headed back to Miskovitz to set poor Janosch free, paying the bailiff for his release from the pillory. The bailiff gave me the keys so I could release Janos myself.
How you did that? Hey?
I healed that poor wretch that you battered. So the bailiff is letting you go.
All right. Thank you, fella.
You can thank the devil and Zizka. They sent me for you.
Devil? How he get free, hey? Last I know, he rotting in chains.
Me, Kubyenka and Zizka freed him.
Zizka? That mad bastard here? Now that is something to look forward to. And what about Eder? You find him too?
He's in the devil's den already. He nearly got hanged in a neighboring village.
Him too? What did Polish fucker do this time?
It seems he was, playing hide the sausage with the Pshitaki butcher's wife. And the butcher wasn't too forgiving.
Ah, typical of him. To get hanged for some wench. Well, anyway, I will go now. We meet there.
But on my way back to the Devil's Den, I had another random encounter. An old man shouting at me in the road.
What are you doing hanging around here, old man? Are you alright?
Not entirely. I'm Sir Ježek of Holohlavie.
And I'm Henry.
Well, Henry, I'm terribly sorry. But this is an ambush.
What?
Please don't make it harder for me than it already is, and surrender nicely. I don't want to hurt you.
This man was Ježek, a knight that had his title, gear, and even his horse stripped from him for losing in battle to Zavish of Garbov, a warrior in Sigismund's camp. So I promised Ježek that I would get his things back for him and fight for his honor. So off I went to Sigismund's camp, but I completely forgot that I had to wait longer before returning, because of when I'd killed a load of their soldiers and carried Black out of the camp to meet Victoria.
We got you now, you bastard! Halt!
I surrender!
Ah, here you are. It's time to pay for your crimes. For those brawls and everything else.
Wait, no! You're wrong! Oh, come on, that was obviously, self-defense.
I'll show you self-defense, you bastard!
I ended up paying them off, but they searched me and found so much stolen loot that I received a trophy for losing 10,000 groschen. I don't know whether it was the value of items or the money I paid for my crimes, but a silver lining nonetheless. I decided to leave that side quest for a while and return to the Devil's Den to celebrate what was left of the Devil's Pack reuniting.
Janos and Adder are back, so that's a reason to celebrate. Are you drinking with us?
You want to start drinking now? Isn't it a bit too early?
Oh, fuck no. Who knows what tomorrow will bring?
Let's have a toast to that.
Toast? Nah, we get drunk like hogs.
This was a chance to get to know the Devil's Pack, and they kindly cheers to Henry for bringing them back together.
Now we should all thank Henry for bringing us to the same table again. So, to Henry.
To me then.
May he live long and longer for every drink.
Ah, how you drink, he live forever.
Want a punch in the snout?
Don't start, you pair of cocks. To Henry.
To Henry.
The night had only just begun. Henry told everyone about what had happened to the members that didn't come back, and more stories were shared. Then the drinking got heavier and heavier until the morning.
So, to loyal brothers in arms.
Yeah, to us! Long live us! W moim ogródeczku rośnie różyska. Napój mi, Maniusiu, mego kunicka. Nie chcę, nie napoję, bo się kunia, kurwa boję. Bo się kunia, kurwa boję, bo mi jeszcze młoda!
Nice! We also have one like that.
To teraz ty, młodzieniaszku, dawaj!
What did he say?
He say you sing now.
I'd be delighted. Underneath our windows, water flows so clear. Take my little horse there and water him, my dear. I won't water him though. No, I can't anymore.
Cudownie! Pięknie! Henry, my friend, Janos love you. A mnie nie? You most, my sweet other. No to wypijmy za to!
What did he say?
We drink to that!
Of course we'll drink!
To last drop, Henry! That is the way! You tell us some story, eh?
Fellas,
I could not say it better. Amen!
Kurva. I feel like shit.
With the worst hangover he's ever had in his life, Henry got out of bed the next morning and went to speak to Dry Devil about our next move. This gave me a story-related trophy for getting the Devil's Pack up and running again. And straight after, Dry Devil drops an absolutely brilliant one-liner.
Why do they call you the Dry Devil, anyway?
Why do they call you fuckhead?
But they don't call... Oh.
I then went off into the vast world again and found a nice tavern to play some dice in. In KCD2 you can get your hands on different kinds of badges. These badges when put down give you various effects when playing dice, such as starting with extra points, or having certain dice earn you more points, etc. When you use the badges you're also betting them, and if you bet a gold badge and take the opponent's gold badge by winning, you will earn a trophy. It took a few tries, but I eventually beat this fella for the shiny trophy.
Damn it, I'm so fucked.
Finally, I made my way towards the giant city of Kuttenberg. It was absolutely stunning, and clearly the show horse of this game. I was planning on ending the first volume when I reached Kuttenberg, but too much kept happening in between. I'm the king of being sidetracked. But here we are finally, and it felt good. I decided to give myself a tour and try to learn and remember the streets of Kuttenberg, discovering all the merchants, taverns and bathhouses that I could. I came across the blacksmiths and weapon merchants, and I could even do my own smithing here. I tried having a go at reforging Radzig's sword, but I was out of my depth. I didn't have the skill level yet to reforge this iconic weapon.
Herrgott, I better not botch this up. That's just great. There's no point forcing this one.
I was sidetracked yet again with the start of a fairly long chain of quests that would of course lead to a trophy or two. I met the Yakkers here. Yakkers are miners and they work at the mines just outside of the city. And the devs decided to make them all proper Geordies like.
You wouldn't happen to have any work for me, would you?
I'll tell you, we could use a canny bloke like you. Set yourself down here. And if you take the job, you'll get a heap of chink.
What's going on here is that each bunch of miners has their own gang, and they all hold a shooting contest at a festival every year. But these fellows, known as the Striped Tonys, usually win, but they've had their patron saint stolen, which is a statue or carving of their Saint Anthony on a standard. And a rival gang are the culprits. They need it back to be able to compete, or at least as their good luck charm from what I could gather. I now had to retrieve their Saint Anthony from a gang's hideout somewhere in the underground tunnel system that runs underneath Kuttenberg. I found one of many entrances to the underground and headed in during the night. I got pretty lost down here. Many of these tunnels lead to different buildings in the city and other various hidey holes, but eventually I found the correct door.
Finally! Here it is. Just have to be careful with the lock. Sacra. It's suspiciously quiet there. Well, we'll see.
And instantly, things went terribly. I was so confused.
You're in for an arse-kicking, you piece of shit!
The gang absolutely battered me. I didn't even know how they knew I was there. I ran for my life and returned to them later, and didn't expect their reaction at all.
Look who's here.
Damn, that fool enjoys getting his arse kicked.
I think we got off on the wrong foot last time.
Did you realise that before you took to your heels, or after?
Well,
Don't worry, kidder. I'm not going to fight with you again.
But I'd give it a go.
Shut your gob.
It turns out they sold the Striped Tony Stang, the standard with St. Anthony on it, to a travelling merchant. So off I went on a wild goose chase to search for Merchant Hensel. And I found him in a forest being devoured by wolves. He had been murdered first. Not good news.
This'll probably be poor old Hensel. He didn't even bury him, the swine. And the main thing is, they took that damn standard.
Just downhill from the merchant's corpse, I came across a mill that was riddled with bandits. They must be the culprits. So I decided to deal as much damage to their ranks as possible with a crossbow before they reached me across the stream. Whilst taking them out and training my abilities with a polearm, I earned a surprise trophy for defeating enemies with every type of weapon.
Shit! I've done you for that!
I then crossed the stream and proceeded to steal some of their food. Don't mind me, sir, just grabbing a bite to eat, thank you. I managed to find the Yakkers staying in a nearby building, but I had also missed another bandit around the back of the mill, and he was guarding a building. When I entered and climbed up a ladder, I found the miller and his family tied up, which completed an almost hidden and missable side quest. So make sure you check this area if you get to this point. I then returned to Foreman Vlak at the Kuttenberg mines and returned his standard at last, thus completing the Yakkers and Fash quest and opening up a new quest that the foreman said I could accept later in the evening. Moving on, I found myself back at the Devil's Den to do a spot of smithing. I had gained a few more levels by now and fancied trying to repair Radzig's sword again. And of course this time, it was a success, awarding me with the Reforged trophy. This sword has absolutely incredible stats. Enough time had passed now for me to go back to Sigismund's camp to try and get Jezek's gear and horse back. If you remember the old knight that had tried to rob me in the forest earlier, I could see his armour sitting in the tent that belonged to Zavish of Garbov, the knight that had defeated and dishonoured Jezek. I went to Zavish and challenged him to combat, to fight in Sir Jezek's name. Because of my high speech level, I convinced him to give me a fighting chance by not wearing every piece of protective gear. I then swigged a load of potions like a witcher, and then we made our way to the arena. The rules were we had to fight 3 times with different weapons in each fight. If I won them all, there was also a trophy up for grabs.
Today, we will witness a duel between Sir Zavish of Garbov, called the Black, and Henry of Skullets. Henry, a commoner, will fight today in the name of Sir Jezek of Holohlavi. The noble lord of Garbov has decided to accept the challenge because of this very fact. With 3 duels, they will settle once and for all the dispute between the Lord of Garbov and the Lord of Holohlavi. I ask both combatants to take their positions and take up arms.
The first duel was with polearms, and as I've mentioned before, they were probably my least used weapon, so I barely had any perks with it. Zavish absolutely trashed me, but I was just warming up. I would have to challenge him again because of the trophy, but at least I knew that in between fights, the bath wenches would heal me.
Damn, that hurts. Can you do something about it?
It's nothing, you baby. It'll heal before your wedding.
Before I re-challenged him, I wanted some practice with the one-handed weapon and shield duel. Because of the prior dialogue, I thought it was one-handed sword only, so I got wrecked during this duel too. But the practice was handy either way. Now it was time for a do-over, and I was ready. The practice helped so much. I defeated him with a polearm with ease, making sure to keep my stamina high and take my time, because Zavish was good at countering. Moving on to the one-handed duel, I realised I could use my warhammer for this, my main weapon. So I took him down very quickly and celebrated my small victory. Then all that was left was the longsword duel, like a true knight, and I had my newly reforged sword, so I could completely destroy Zavish with master strikes.
Longsword duel is at its end, and the undisputed winner is Henry of Skullets. He's defeated his rival with an incredible performance. All 3 duels were well fought, and God was on the side of the one in the right. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it. Not only has the brave Henry won glory, he's cleared the name of Lord Jezek of Holohlavi from disgrace, while he put the Lord of Garbov to shame with his performance. The dispute between these 2 gentlemen is now at an end. Glory to the victor, honor to the vanquished.
And that's how you earn the Master of Masters trophy in style. I was now allowed to retrieve Jezek's gear from Zavish's tent and also ride his horse back to him. I left Sigismund's camp and met Jezek in Shitoki. He was most pleased that I had earned his things back. He even gave me his shield, his spurs, and a large purse of groschen for my troubles. I then decided to kick back and relax after all of my hard work. I bought a cartload of alcohol from the nearby inn and drank myself silly like it was payday weekend. Henry then thought it was a good idea to cook up some gunpowder. Even the people nearby could tell how drunk he was.
I'm surprised you're still standing. You must have drunken an entire cask.
But he continued making gunpowder anyway, until suddenly Of course I knew what I was doing really, earning a funny trophy for blowing myself up in this way. Next I began another side quest by purchasing a treasure map from a random stranger. As you do. A risky investment with my hard-earned groschen, and Henry was not happy with the price at all.
That's fucking expensive.
So off I went to dig up some treasure. The map led me to a cave filled with bandits, but there was no treasure, and the bandit leader happened to have the exact same map on his person, so he was clearly looking for the same treasure. It couldn't be that secret if there's multiple maps. On my way back to have a stern word with the map seller, I came across a few villagers in distress. Their cows were being mysteriously slaughtered, and they believed it was because they weren't offering food to a beast that lived in a nearby abandoned mine, which they called a gateway to hell. Some believed this to be true, others thought it was complete hogwash. So off I went to investigate these mines and the so-called beast that lived below. When I reached the mine, I was surprised to get a full-blown cutscene even though this was just a random side quest.
Ugh. It really does smell like hell here. Might there be some truth to the stories? Oh, Jesus. What a diabolical stink. Ugh. All right then. Let's see if we can't lure the devil out.
This was turning into one hell of a detour. Henry had been stripped of all his gear and items, and now I had to find out where this mysterious knight had ran off to, and this quest suddenly turned into some sort of horror movie.
Jesus, the fuck is going on here?
At least he wasn't a demonic beast, I hope. Eventually I found the way out whilst avoiding the creepy knight who patrolled around the caves. But he had followed me, and I completely forgot to find my gear first. Luckily the villagers were all waiting for me at the top of the mine shaft, and could help me out.
That's the hellish beast! It's him!
Ready yourselves, men. Henry, you too.
Shadows and flames! You brought friends, did you, Hellspawn? It matters not. I'll take you all on!
Here he is! The one who killed the cattle!
Seize him!
Traitors. You'll all die!
I punched the crap out of him until he was out cold. I used the villagers as a welcome distraction because Henry was almost naked. He would have been cleaved in two had the knight landed a hit. They thanked me for helping them find out where their offerings were going and who the cow murderer was. Then I went back down the mine to retrieve my belongings from a chest. After that distraction, I could finally go back to the guy that sold me the counterfeit treasure map and give him a piece of my mind.
Do you remember me, you c***? You sold me that map.
Yeah, and what of it?
Do you know where that map led?
If I knew, then I would have found the treasure myself, don't you think?
There was no treasure. It led me to a pack of fucking thieves. But that's not all. I went through their pockets, and one of them also had a map. The exact same map. Can you explain to me how there could be two maps exactly the same?
How should I know? I just found that map and sold it to you. I don't know anything else.
I've had enough of this shit. If you don't immediately give me back the money for that worthless parchment, I'll teach you how to dance with a knife in your belly.
Wait. I really didn't know there wasn't any treasure there. I swear on my parents' graves.
Shut your mouth and pay up.
Here you go. That's all of it, to the very last groschen. I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ, Henry, that was savage. Well, that was a few more quests done and dusted. Now onto the next one. A quest I took from a local huntsman to hunt down some poachers that had killed a majestic and rare white buck. A nice purse of coin would be in it for me, so off I went into the forest to hunt some hunters. It took me bloody ages to find their hideout, but eventually I found an abandoned hut and managed to sneak up on them to make my job way easier and avoiding a fight against multiple foes. Then I took out the final straggler with some good old fireworks. I looted the white roebuck's hide from their chest, returned it to the huntsman and claimed my purse of groschen. Another quest ticked off the extremely long list. Now that a few days had passed, I could go back to my good friends the Striped Tonys, back in Kuttenberg, to continue their chain of quests. I was to meet with a couple of the fellas in the morning by a church, and they wanted to get their own back on their rival yakkers, from when their standard was stolen. So I waited for the Striped Tonys before I journey through the city to get some revenge.
Good morning, Tonys. I see you have the stand with you.
Of course. That's what it's all about, man.
We've already had it blessed by the local priest.
What? You didn't even wait for me?
Don't worry. You're not missing out. We still have a long way and 2 more churches to go.
Ah, got it. A nice walk through town, eh?
Aye, you could say so.
You must be the champion marksman, Anton Kaspar, right?
That I am. And I swear as long as I'm shooting, the Striped Tonys will never lose their competition.
Are you really that good?
Well, this year is just my second competition, but I won last year.
Old Lazar used to be our top marksman, but his eyes gave out.
So off I went with these merry fellows, not knowing yet what plan of revenge they had devised. Henry even tried joining in with their lingo to try and fit in a bit.
So, tell us, Mara, where are we going with that stang of yours?
You're crocking there like one of us, man. You'll be joining us in the pit soon, eh?
Need pit for him. He's like to break his arm with a kevil.
Aye, or ding his head on the rock, eh?
I don't understand you much, but as far as dangerous work goes, I reckon you two are experts, eh?
That's what this is all about, but...
The Tonys told Henry a little bit more about their shooting competition that they hold, and apparently even King Wenceslas supports the competition. After strolling a little bit further, they finally told me the plan. I offered to do the dirty work myself, which was to hang a pair of poo-covered brays above the rival Yakker's tavern. Brays being medieval-era underpants.
Here's the brays. Hang 'em high up on the stub.
Stop?
The pole with the pulley, sticking from the loft into the street.
Good luck then. When it's done, I'll meet you across the street from the tavern.
With the smelly pants obtained, I made my way to the tavern and snuck my way up to the top to hang the brays for all to see and smell.
What a sight. 6 stinky brays hanging proud. Can't be overlooked.
Mission accomplished. Smelly revenge dished out on the rival gang, the Saints. Now let's head back to the Tonys.
So I'm back from the tavern, mates.
Maras, man. Here we say Maras.
And how'd it go, eh?
All done. The brays are getting an airing. It's just too bad the Saints won't appreciate how nice and right they are from that height.
Not so. I can already see a swarm of flies.
I didn't expect it to go so smoothly.
Oh, give it a rest. You didn't have to get up there. And it wasn't easy.
For sure. A canny job, kidder. How bonny they look hanging there.
We had to flee before the Saints got back, so we went back to the Tonys' local tavern to lie low and consume a well-needed drink, or 5. I then had a wander around town and did a bit of shopping, picking up a trophy for spending a whopping 10,000 groschen in total. I had a look at a nearby market and finally found the best in slop pouches and belts This was great of course for carrying more weapons and potions, but I was more excited at the fact that I could now aim for a trophy, but that would come later on. For now I still had to help the striped Tonys. Anton had gotten completely smashed at the tavern, and they needed to recite a prayer so that the priest could give them his blessing that they could mine silver in Kuttenberg. Of course Henry came through again, working out the correct words of prayer and saving their asses once more, thus completing another quest for the striped Tonys. Once the priest had given his blessing, he then departed in a very interesting manner.
Thank you, worthy father. 1,000 thanks. We truly thank you.
Now I had unlocked the Popinjay shooting competition, which could be another trophy opportunity, so off I went to meet Vlak the next day to participate. The reason Henry was participating was because of Anton getting so drunk beforehand, so now I had to try and win the competition for the striped Tonys. Crossbow in hand, I was ready for it. The targets were fairly small, but I had enough experience of a crossbow now that I was confident I could win. But unfortunately for me, I simply moved out of my starting position, therefore was penalised and disqualified after being in the lead. Sorry guys. This is what happens when you lose.
Great besom that was. I've never seen the like. Lost in such a lead in a match. That's something.
Look, Vlak, leave me alone, alright? If Anton hadn't fucked up, he could have shown off himself.
Only you said you knew how to shoot.
You're the one who said I had to get you out of a mess.
Christ, I'd no idea it'd end up like this.
I missed out on a trophy by losing, but I could attempt another shooting competition later instead. But for now, a quick trip to buy some more guns and ammo for a different trophy. Now that I could hold 4 weapons at once, I got my hands on 4 guns and loaded all of them, awarding me with the original Gunslinger trophy. Nice and easy, but took time seeing as I needed the belt and the guns. They cost a lot of groschen. When buying ammo, I also purchased ammo that would scatter, similar to a modern day shotgun. I could then attempt another miscellaneous trophy for pulverizing a rabbit with a gunshot. Make sure you do this on another save file if you're attempting the Lent trophy in one playthrough. Target eliminated. Sorry, bunny. I mentioned retrying the Popinjay shoot competition again, and this was going to be at the Devil's Den. I talked to Kubienka and he had a competition set up for me. The trophy said that I needed to win without missing a target. But at this time, because it may be patched now, this wasn't the case. I simply had to win the competition for the trophy.
I'd love to go hunting with you sometime, friend.
Back to the side quest grind, I encountered one of many random exchanges between people in the streets and alleys of Kuttenberg, and thought it was too good not to show.
No fucking way. He was staring at you.
No, I wasn't. And even if I was, there's no law against it. I can look if I want, eh?
No, you can't, you bastard.
Come on, darling, forget it, or there'll just be trouble.
The girl's right. Get the fuck out of here or you'll be inviting trouble.
Oh, yeah? You a news army. I'll snap you like a twig, you poor son.
You can try. I have long fingers.
Yannick, let it be, please.
No fucking chance. I won't let a pig like that gawk at you.
But he wasn't gawking at me.
He bloody was, I saw him.
If you're looking for a fight, bring it on. I'm not afraid of you, and I can look at whoever I want to. I mean, look at her tits, eh?
Come on then, fucker. I'm gonna bash your face in.
I even stuck around to watch the whole fight, and the Gorka won. Chivalry literally died here. I continued with another side quest that I stumbled upon and found myself in a blacksmithing competition against a blacksmith's apprentice. I was just chilling, so I was still in my charisma outfit, not expecting how badly this fellow would take the loss.
Fuck you, whoreson!
He tried to kill me and I didn't have my armor on. I was completely taken by surprise and was murdered there and then. I won the competition again, but this time put my armor on. But this meant I could simply threaten him now because I looked so tough.
Take a good look at me, you yokel. You really want to fight me? You might end up losing your head as well as your sword.
All right, calm down, mate.
We don't want any trouble.
With that little activity over, I continued with a quest to help a woman called Betty open her own bathhouse business. I had to gather up a group of women from this village that were looking to work there, and with the help of a fine gentleman and his wagon, I could travel with them back to Kuttenberg. Henry had some interesting conversations with the bath wenches on the journey back to the city.
Right, there's no point beating about the bush. Are you more into tits or bottoms?
Is that what you lot talk about all the time?
Don't change the subject. I want to know.
Definitely breasts.
I knew it. Why are you a tit man?
What can I tell you? Breasts are nice. That's all. Never get tired of them.
Go on.
Well, I don't know what else to say. I don't give it much thought. Right, if I had to explain, I'd say nice breasts and nice eyes are the best combination.
And you wouldn't know which to look at more, eh? Hear that, girls? He's a tit man.
The wenches had been delivered safely, and bathhouse renovations were completed whilst I was gone. I was now asked to advertise the new bathhouse, now known as the Kingfisher, and Henry put together his own advertisement, shouting it throughout Kuttenberg to hopefully bring in customers to tonight's grand opening.
Hear ye, hear ye. Let it be known that the Kingfisher, a new bathhouse, is opening. Our wenches will soothe your body and soul. They'll warm you up from head to toe, whether you're in a hot bath or not. Come and enjoy the grand opening party. Wine, women, and song. And maybe something more. The Kingfisher Bathhouse.
Honey,
Hot drink.
Henry had done all he could. Now we just had to wait until evening and for customers to come through the door. Hopefully things went well. We weren't sure if anyone would show up at all, and Betty, the bathhouse owner, would have to give up her dream.
Welcome to the best baths in Kuttenberg. And the drinks are on the house.
Get up, you two!
I'm not here.
Get your act together, we're in deep shit! Get up now!
Stop screaming, for the love of God.
The councillor's right outside. He's come to check on things.
What? Jesus, well, why didn't you wake me up then?
Holy shit.
Another unexpectedly brilliant cutscene simply from a side quest. One of my favourites so far. Now I had to quickly pick up the clothes from all over the bathhouse, get rid of the drunks and scrub vomit off the floor. Then the councillor would do his checks and hopefully we would pass for the Kingfisher to become a fully fledged legal bathhouse.
This place is fit for a king! I'm impressed.
Well, sir, what do you say? Are you satisfied?
I'm not going to lie, Betty. I'm pleasantly surprised. I expected a grotty flea pit, but instead you've made a nice clean bathhouse.
Thank you, sir.
A lot of people were bad-mouthing you, but don't let that bother you. I can see that it was all nonsense.
Success! That was a great change of pace, and I'm hoping to be doing more quests at the Kingfisher in the future. Eventually I went back to the main quest line, which meant meeting up with Catherine in Kuttenberg and finding out what information she had gathered. She had picked up a lead on finding Liechtenstein in the city. Apparently a man called Goatskin was working as a spy for someone important. The important person could very well be Liechtenstein. So I went around all the taverns trying to find information about Goatskin. My next destination was at the Hole in the Wall Tavern. You have to admire their branding here, one of the best pieces of art I've seen. When I entered, I spoke to a contact here, Chenyek. He and his group of men were followers of Wenceslas, and they wanted me to wreak havoc on the forces of King Sigismund with them. I found out some more about Goatskin and where to look for him. I also picked up a side quest here to feed the poor with Sigismund's sausages that I was going to save for later. Chenyek offers an important questline that will lead to trophies later on. But for now I went on the hunt for Goatskin, asking the locals in the area.
What would you like, sir? I'm looking for someone called Goatskin. I hear he hangs around here.
Goatskin? That mangy piece of shit. He turns up on the street now and then, but he never shows his face in my alehouse.
Apparently he's not very well liked, but I also heard that he has a girlfriend that works at a bathhouse.
I'm looking for a fella called Goatskin. Do you know him?
Do I know him? That fucker is the bane of our lives. Why are you even looking for an idiot like him?
I figured out who the lady was that he was seeing. Whether she actually liked him or he was just paying, I don't really know. But after some convincing, she ended up telling me where he was hiding. I had to do a bit of parkour to make my way to Goatskin's little hideaway.
Well, well. Look who we have here. You must be Goatskin, eh?
What? What are you doing here?
What do you think? Looking for you.
But I'm hiding. I shouldn't be talking to anyone.
But I found you. So you're not hidden anymore.
Henry offered Goatskin protection at the Devil's Den if he told him who he was spying for. It turns out he was spying for someone called Samuel, a Jewish man that resides in the Jewish quarter of Kuttenberg. Goatskin hadn't even heard of Liechtenstein, but this Samuel fellow was our next big lead for information on finding Liechtenstein. So off I went to the Jewish quarter to talk to Samuel. I met with Samuel, or at least someone who knew Samuel, because this guy wasn't giving much away. I asked about Liechtenstein, and he said that there was some sort of meeting being held at night in the mining district, and this meeting could have someone important there, like Liechtenstein. If I helped Samuel get information by infiltrating the meeting, he might help me find Liechtenstein at last. So off Henry went, risking himself for empty favours once more. I waited until night, and made my way to this mysterious meeting place that I really knew nothing about.
Hey! Hey! Open up! Open up!
Curwell, what are you doing, Moishe?
Futsa Kapora, piece of junk. Never mind. We'll cut this shit down.
Of course it was a trap. I tried running for my life and couldn't escape the area no matter what I tried. Then I ended up trapping myself in a building and Henry was sliced down by these unknown foes, bringing us to the end of Volume 2. Henry's fate will become clear in the next video. Thank you for watching.